speech will be given by Dr. Saulius Grybkauskas. Quite recently, he has published a monography on Soviet nomenclature. Sometimes it seems that when we encounter this topic, it might seem a bit boring, but on the other hand, it is a new contribution to nomenclature. So I give the floor to Mr. Grybkauskas, who will speak on economy militarization. Good afternoon. I will speak on economy militarization. As Professor has mentioned, it is a rather difficult and very little researched area. Soviet economy subject probably requires separate preparation, a lot of calculations, which we don't have in Lithuania so far. Speaking about Soviet economy militarization is rather difficult because economy is such growth of GDP, development of GDP in Soviet times, these are very little research subjects. So I would just like to present to you the initial research on military industry. In Lithuania, development of military industry was determined by geographical conditions, by Soviet Lithuanian nomenclature interests. But it was a priority to the development of military production. Every year, the Lithuanian Communist Party received a decision from the USSR Ministerial Council where it was said, I quote, determined that the tasks of developing military technology, mobilization capacities of military ammunition production is a primary objective of the party and the government in strengthening the state security. And they were both closed and open enterprises, factories, but from the secret documents we can see what was the priority of the Soviet government. In the documents and correspondence of the second board, third department of the KGB in Lithuania, there are many hints about the so-called post boxes, where it is overestimated to keep to security requirements. It was recognized that there aren't any secret enterprises in the Republic. In 1989, chairman of the KGB of the Lithuanian Soviet Republic, Mr. Eismontas, wrote to the sixth board of the KGB, head of the sixth board of the KGB, Sherbakov, saying that there aren't any especially important or closed objects having defense industrial capacities, producing weapons or military equipment. Nevertheless, majority of heavy industry enterprises had the status of a closed entity. The chairman of the Lithuanian KGB had a list of 112 objects which was said to be entities where they had to pursue intelligence activities. Among them, there were 42 industrial factories, industrial institutions, construction bureaus. 20 of them had the code of postbox. Many of them were codified due to the fact that they belonged to the USSR industrial, military-industrial complex, although they did not produce any military production. Their military character is evident in the KGB characteristics of a number of factories such as Kaunas Ship Construction Factory, Pergalė, Ship Propellers Producing Factory, Kaunas Radio Factory, Laivas, Klaipėda Ship Construction Company, Baltija Ship Repair Company, Lithuania, Panevėžys Ekranas Company, and many other. All of them contained the code of a postbox. There are only few of those closed entities and factories which were producing military equipment or equipment satisfying the needs of the KGB. These were the companies, these were the entities such as Electrography Institute, Vilnius Radio Measurement Devices Producing Company and Factory, Kaunas Radio Measurements Institute, KGB Tapping Devices Producing Factory, and others. There was also Kaunas Radio Measurement Institute, the KGB tapping devices such as Moshka and Lavr Producing Factory, which was later on called the Association Vilma. It was also a company producing military equipment, producing transformers, Gabarit, Vilnius Bureau producing microchips, and Šiauliai Nuklonas. All of these contain the postbox code. Their codes remained secret throughout the period of research. And during the reorganizations, the companies were being enlarged and they were established as associations. They retained still their old codes, while their affiliates received new codes. Secret companies had a status of an open company having closed affiliates or a closed company having open affiliates. The former was considered to be just the Kaunas radio measurement instrument, which produced the military components called Rusalka. Even the most secret companies in the Republic, which was Vilnius 60th October Association of Radio Measurement Devices, in total net of its productions, it had only 7.6% of military production. The low number of closed enterprises and the low level of secrecy determined not only the Lithuanian Soviet Republic nomenclature rotation towards traditional industry development, but also the Lithuanian geographical state. There were grounded fears that military objects in the Western USSR might be of interest to the NATO intelligence. Despite the fact that of the companies which were under disguise of post boxes,
Britų ambasados karinio atašė
there were
darbuotojai Plameris ir Wagensvytas.
Czechist undercover legends which aimed to disinform foreign intelligence about the actual production in these companies. But the West, at least the Western countries, knew or at least speculated about the real purpose of these companies. Military companies or ministries controlling them used the fact of the production for the defense purposes in capitalist construction area. Because formally, unofficially, officially only a ministry could allow expanding such factories. So, the government was being pressed, the ministerial council was pressed in order to expand such factories. According to one of the construction ministries, head of the construction ministries, once a month, the USSR the construction ministry had to report to the USSR construction ministry once a month about the building, about the construction of such companies and their expansion. As it was mentioned, military production did not account for a large share of total production, but the hint alone about secret production had to sound persuasive enough. Every time seeking to expand such companies, those in charge of the expansion of the company had to remind of the importance of such companies to the KGB or the Ministry of Defense. In the documents of the Radio Industry Ministry and the USSR General Headquarters dating back to 1967, there was a discontent expressed regarding the slow Electrography Institute in Vilnius expansion. After several years, the said institute addressed Mr. Sniečkus, addressed the radio industry minister, where dissatisfaction was expressed regarding the ban to expand the institution and increase the number of staff working in the company. After several years, the said radio industry ministry and the factory under it issued a document whereby it expressed a complaint about the Planning Commission's decision not to allow to expand further the factory. The document also writes about the necessity to expand the premises of the factory. This also shows the tasks of production and the implementation of those tasks of the USSR medium-sized machines production ministry to produce special devices and equipment.
Lėktuvų lazerinio nusitaikymo galvutėse, naikintuvų MiG-27 ir MiG-29 borto aparatūroje, Beje, minint šią aparatūrą padėtas net šauktukas manyti tam,
The
kad labiau
author of the said document mentions several times
nuo 79 metų iki 81
the types of equipment that are to be produced in that factory. In 1983-1984, when the USSR decided to race with Reagan in the so-called STARS program, documents poured Lithuania suggesting to construct new companies of military-industrial complex, and negative responses to such suggestions put Moscow in outrage. For example, in 1984, Mr. Grybkauskas addressed the USSR electronics industry minister Shokin, asking to agree with the Šiauliai Nucleon company expansion. The purpose of the production of this company was basically meant for the satisfaction of military needs. The response to such a promise was a negative one.
Įmonės darbuotojų medicinos priežiūros pastatam, aktų salei ir sporto kompleksui. Brazausko prisiminimu,
according to Brazauskas, Shokinas wanted to build large industrial factory, expanding the premises up to 80,000 square meters. Brazauskas claimed that the government did not agree with the ministry's plans. He said that, I quote, that there aren't resources enough. So, in essence, it can be said that the development of military industry was determined by the needs, Soviet needs, by the interests of the Soviet regime. Everything was done on a macro and micro levels.
O kartą jau paleidus karinę gamybą, ji buvo nuolat plečiama, nes tai buvo glūdėjo visoje sovietinės ekonomikos logikoje, ekstensyvioj plėtroj, nes planas augo,
the plans were constantly developing and expanding, and once the factory was launched, it also had to constantly expand and elaborate. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, dear colleague, for your presentation. Now let us continue, and I give the floor to Dr. Saulius Grybkauskas.